All right. Hey, everybody. Here we are, April 1st, 2022, 11:49 p.m. So, basically, you know, it's like the spirit of a cold night chats kind of thing, except it's not cold right now, so I can't call it that. But I just kind of thought it would be pretty silly to just go like 6 to 8 months out of the year, when there's no cold fronts, to just not have any kind of videos like this, you know? So I figured why not just continue it through the summer, you know? Um, so that's kind of what this is. Uh, it's a pretty simple life update, really. Anyway, so yeah, I had a few opportunities to make a cold night chats video in since the last one, but it just never worked out. I was always really busy, other stuff going on. I just wasn't able to. And then also my phone storage ended up getting full, and then it took me a while to get around to, emptying out, managing the storage on that, and to be able to free up enough to record, you know, several hours at least. But anyway, so yeah, let's catch you folks up to speed. I actually didn't even bother to go back and check when the last one was, but I'm gonna guess sometime in February. There might have been one like in late February or March, I'm not sure, but the last one I remember was like, oh yeah, I remember doing one right before my Pennsylvania trip in February. I'm not sure if I did one after when I got back or not. I'm gonna assume not, or if I did, that I didn't upload it. But I'm gonna assume the last official Cold Night Chats was before I left for Pennsylvania, which was February. Like that'd be like the 12th to the 13th or something. Anyway, so what happened since then? Oh boy. Well, I always say this every time. Like, every time it's more than a week or two between these episodes, I always say, like, oh, wow, like this, a lot happened. Things are completely different now. But, it really puts things into perspective, like, just how much things can change in one day, basically. Like, just from yesterday to today, for example, which we'll get to. Um, but how my whole world, my entire lifestyle and perception of reality can just do a complete 180, just in a day, you know um and just how eventful really every day has the potential to be. And every week, when you think of a week as being 7 days, that's a lot. Like, out of those seven, there's bound to be at least one really good day, at least one really bad day, at least one really eventful day, at least one stressful day, at least one depressing day, at least one exciting day. You know what I mean? Like, the out of those 7 days, it's like every week is like a variety pack, basically, is what it seems. So, and then you think a month, that's four variety packs. That's like a whole jumbo size thing, you know? Um, so, like, it's crazy, like, just how much, and, things change, how rapidly my life evolves. And then, being on my own, living alone, and being in a big city, and struggling financially and struggling mentally, and just trying to find my own path and get in a rhythm and everything. I've lived in Orlando for 5 months now. Um, and in some ways, I'm acclimated to it, but also, like, my lifestyle has changed so many times since I moved here. It's gone through so many stages of evolution, and I'm sure it's going to go through many more. This can't be the finished product. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll ever get to the finished product, but you know what I mean. um I'm still not living the life I envisioned, and I know that I will get to that. I'm either going to get to that or I'm going to die trying, but I'm not going to live to become an old man and never achieve that. That's how driven I am. And you can say what you will about me, but one thing that you just kind of have to admit is that I'm very motivated, I'm very passionate and determined. So when there's something in my mind that I want to do, there's nothing that's going to stop me from getting there. Which brings me to another point too. Um, my zodiac sign. I've never really bought into astrology and zodiac signs and stuff like that. I still don't really. There might be truth to it. I don't know, but it's just not really something I've really put a lot of time into studying. Um, but anyway, my sign is Taurus. Um, and I've been told pretty much across the board that one of the main personality traits of Taurus is that they are extremely stubborn. And so, always, whenever I've heard that, I've immediately just said, "Oh, well, that can't be me. I'm not stubborn. I'm hip. I'm cool. I'm adaptive and flexible and all that." So there must be some mistake. That proves that this is inaccurate. And then it took me a long time to actually realize the irony in that, in me denying that I'm stubborn, because what it meant is not like, if you take it at face value, obviously, of course, I'm not a stubborn person, like, by nature, like, overall, in the grand scheme of things. Like, yeah, you you can be adaptive and flexible and hip and all that stuff, but also still be stubborn. And that's something I didn't realize, because I thought that those were contradictory things. But you can be adaptive and flexible and all that, like in the long term, in the overall, but stubborn about a series of small things, just sort of everyday things. And that's what I came to realize I am. I am very stubborn about just trivial, insignificant things, in my daily routine and in my lifestyle, and in just very small things. Um, with work, or with home, or driving, or the gym, or shopping, or whatever it may be. I'm very, like, insistent on certain things, and it sort of puzzles people. They're like, "Well, why are you taking this so seriously? Why is this such a big deal to you?" And it's like, I might have some kind of answer on the spot, but if I really were to search deep for an answer, I don't really have one. That it's just how I am. It's just like how my brain is, and that's what being stubborn is. you know? And so it took me, and I realized that on my own. I didn't need anybody to point it out to me, but I actually kind of came to that epiphany um, maybe like a week or so ago. And I was like, wow, guess I really am a true Taurus, you know? But instead of like trying to change these traits, I've just learned to embrace them because I've learned from past experience and from other people and their stories and all that, that trying to change core personality traits is just, it's swimming against the current, it's not realistic, and you're just going to spend all your energy and never, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment basically. So instead of trying to change it, just learn how to embrace it and how to channel it in a healthy way. Just be aware of it, don't deny it, don't ignore it, and it's not just going to go away if you ignore it, and just deal with it, make it a part of your life in a functional way. Because there have been times in the past where I was pretty much unaware of it. I just kind of took it for granted, and it sort of hampered my existence, my getting along with other people, and my like circumstances and opportunities and things like that. So, but now being aware of it, I can sort of make it my own. And it's kind of like how, if there's like how you can turn a weakness into a strength by like calling yourself out on it basically and being very open and public about it, and like roasting yourself basically before other people get the chance to. It's kind of like that, but it's not necessarily negative things per se. They're just, maybe strange or unconventional or whatever. I'll just call myself out on it first, but still do it, you know? I'll just be like, yeah, I know what you're thinking, oh, Joshua, is it really that important to do this or that? Like I'll preface it with that, but then still proceed to do the thing. And I find that's had tremendous results. It's a win-win for everybody because I don't have to do anything differently, but yet it's also more sociable then. It's less antisocial, and it's more acceptable, And I don't know why, but just that's psychology, I guess. It's just people are more likely to get away with things if they admit to them rather than denying them or trying to make other people feel bad for calling them out on it. So I own all my personality traits now. But anyway, all that being said, yeah, I know I say that it's a lot it happens between these, but yeah, this time a real lot happened between these because if it really has been as long as I think it has, that was worlds ago. So basically, let's see, February 12th. I went to a concert on the 12th. I remember that. I saw Killswitch Engage at Disney Springs with one of my coworkers, Ryan. Um, February 13th, I was supposed to leave for Pennsylvania, but my dad was running late and coming to get me, so I actually went to Tampa to Busch Gardens. I went there, and then I stopped at a restaurant in Tampa called Zico's, which is phenomenal. I highly recommend checking them out. They're basically only in Tampa. They're not even in Orlando. But Zico's, yeah, Zeko apostrophe S. I know that's his favorite restaurant, so I actually surprised him and bought $40 worth of food. So that when he came to pick me up, I would present him with that. Um, so that was the 13th, and then we left overnight. I think it was light out. It was like 7 a.m. on the 14th, and yeah, we drove up. We took a different way this time. Instead of just the highway, we took kind of some back roads, and it actually took us 2 full days to get up there because we kind of got lost a little bit, but it was fun. It was a fun adventure. We got to make a few stops in Virginia on Route 29. We got to visit like a few like breweries and wineries and stuff like kind of off the road. And then there was this one gas station. I'm not exactly sure what it was. Yeah, I don't know what the name of the station was. I don't even know what the name of the city was. It was on Route 29, by a brewery, maybe like 60 miles south of um Roanoke, wherever the city where 29 intersects Interstate 64. No, no, no. Charlottesville, Charlottesville. Sorry, not Roanoke. It's about 60 miles south of Charlottesville, and maybe 30 miles north of Lynchburg. Between Lynchburg and Charlottesville, I don't know, but there's this gas station where they had like all this weird, interesting stuff. When we got some of it, we tried some THC beer, Delta 8 THC in beer, and that was fun. It made the road trip a lot cooler. We had a couple of those. We bought like a 6 pack. Um, and then we went to Dr. Ho's, which was a little further up the road. It's called Dr. Ho's Humble Pie, the alternative pizza. They have like build your own pizzas with like 20 different toppings and stuff, but it's not like mod pizza where it's just a personal pizza. These are like full size. So we got one of them. They had some other interesting beers and alcohol and stuff, so we got some of that. And then we get the pizza. The pizza was delicious. Highly recommend Dr. Ho's. And I think this like North Garden or something like that. North something. I still have their business card somewhere. I'm just kind of too lazy to go look at it. But yeah, so we made those few stops. We stopped at some Sheetz on the way up and down. For those of you that don't know, Sheetz is my favorite gas station. Um, they have like 2 for $1 hot dogs, and you get like unlimited toppings. So they got, you can put like onions, sauerkraut, relish, pickles, like peppers, all the sauces, like cheese, like everything you can imagine. So he would take the hot dogs and then just give me the rest. There's still like a full sandwich of toppings on there. And they have an impressive soda fountain. They got both Coke and Pepsi. And they have like 16 flavors of freezes and stuff. They got the Friel frozen yogurt things where you get to custom make it and all. And then they also have the 99 cents soft serve ice cream only at select locations. So you would actually call ahead at each one before you would stop in to ask if they had it and if the machine was running, because sometimes they're closed for cleaning. But they have vanilla, chocolate, and sometimes pineapple that you can get the soft serve, and you can fill it yourself as high as you can, and it's 99 cents. So that's cool. And it's also a gas station. It sells food. It's kind of like a Wawa, but I think Sheetz is better than Wawa because they have some better deals. They're kind of cheaper. And also like cooler. But yeah, anyway, so eventually we got to Pennsylvania, and the theme this trip was winter. We were hoping to see snow and all that. So we did eventually end up seeing some snow on our last day. Not like a whole lot because it was above freezing, so it didn't really stick to the ground that much. It stuck to like the grass and stuff and like the top of the car, but not like the asphalt, the roads, the sidewalks, or anything. So this is a little thin coating, and then the sun came out after it was done snowing and melted it all away. But we actually saw snow because there was a big snowstorm like the night before when we went up. And so from Virginia up, basically, there was snow along the side of the road pretty much the whole way. So that was interesting to see. And then in Pennsylvania, too, it's like even though it was like in the 40s and 50s while we were up there, there was still some residual snow because they had a big snowstorm right before we went up. So, you know, um, but I got to go skiing for the first time in my life at Montage Mountain, which is in, I believe, Moosic, Pennsylvania, kind of up towards Scranton. Um, and it was kind of overwhelming for me, actually. I thought I would get the hang of it in maybe 20 minutes to an hour, but we were there like almost 4 hours, and only at the very, very end did I actually, like the last 10 minutes, that I actually start to like ski the right way a little bit. Because up until then, I was just focused on not dying, basically. From the moment I put the skis on, I was just like freaking out. Honestly, I did not expect that. Skiing was like one of the craziest things I've ever done, like one of the most dangerous things and like anxiety inducing. I thought it was just going to be like fun and cool and exhilarating, but it's deadly. And to make it even worse, the day that we went, believe it or not, by that point, this was like the last day of our trip. So by that point, all the snow had melted because it had been consistently above freezing pretty much every night. Um, and it actually got to 63 degrees the day before, and there was rain. So it rained all day and all night. And then we got there right after it stopped raining, but it got cold again. It was down to like 22. Okay, it was below freezing a couple of the nights. But there wasn't any snow or anything. But it got to 63 degrees and it rained. And then it was back down to like 22 to 25 when we went. Um, but because of all the rain, it sort of melted the snow and turned it into this like weird slush ice kind of thing, which is not good for skiing. For skiing, you want it to be like soft, thick snow. You don't want it to be this like thin, like, wintry mix. That's not what you want for skiing. So that just made it like extra slippery and extra like hard to stop and control and everything. So I fell a bunch of times, got all bruised up and everything. I was just worried about spraining my ankle. Luckily I didn't, but that may have just been out of paranoia and like just excessive caution on my part. Um, I feel kind of bad for my dad on there because he hadn't been skiing in like 30 years and he was like really looking forward to it, but he had to like be a responsible parent and like not let me get killed, so he like had to keep, he could never actually ski because he would keep having to like try to, you know, help me. And I was just freaking out the whole time. So it wasn't like the carefree fun that I thought it would be, but like I said, toward the very end, I finally started to like let a little bit loose and get it a little bit. So I think next time we go, I might just need a little recap and then it'll be like good from there. So I definitely am willing to give it another shot. In fact, I'm excited to. Um, but so far, yeah, I've technically been skiing, but it wasn't really skiing, you know. Yeah, I mean, it was just like a 3 to 4 hour tutorial, but because of the conditions being so icy and all that, it wasn't favorable for someone who's never been skiing before. So I think I would have learned a lot quicker and gotten over my fears if it was just like soft snow, like it's supposed to be. So if we would have went like any other day, basically, that's how it would have been. Because like it's such a dangerous sport. Like the chairlifts, they don't even have like the restraints that you put down or anything, so you can just like jump right out. And then like they have the loading platform at the bottom of the hill, so you have to like ski down to the platform, but then you have to like be able to stop yourself when you get to the platform so that you can get into the chairlift. But I wasn't able to slow down in time because first of all the ice, and secondly I wasn't a very experienced skier, so I haven't mastered the art of braking without falling. So I would just like crash into the building that was right there or into the chair in front of me or something. And that's actually a technique they teach you, is if you can't stop, purposely crash into the chair in front of you so that you fall into the next one. And it's like, this is just crazy. Like, what? There's no other sport, that's like that. you know, like this is insane. So, and then, when the chairlift takes you up to the top, it just kind of throws you out there, and then you're just like, you got to try to break again, or, you're probably going to fall again at the top. So, yeah, it's wild. And then, like, anything at all, like, there's so many obstacles in the way, and trees and buildings and people, and, like rocks, and these things like that. Anyway, so we went skiing. We got to go snow tubing, which neither of us had done before. That was at the same mountain, but on a different day. Um, Snow tubing is also deadly. In my case, not as much as skiing because it's more out of your hands. You just kind of get in the thing and, just pray for the best. But overall, it's probably more dangerous because once you master the art of skiing, it's pretty much in your control. But with snow tubing, it's just not at all. So, for those of you that don't know, and I'd be very surprised if anyone listening actually is familiar with snow tubing, especially since 99% of my audience is based in Florida, I believe. Um, Snow tubing is it's like a raft, kind of like an inner tube kind of thing that you get in. You pick one up at the bottom, and then you take this conveyor belt up the side of the mountain while you're carrying this thing, and then you get up to the top, and then you walk over, you pick your lane. It's like a big slide, and you set your thing down at the top, and then you get in it, and then you give yourself a little push, and you go down. and, then, and you just keep going faster and faster, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then you get to the bottom, and there's a very short little straightaway so that you can kind of coast a little bit, and then you just slam into this giant wall that they have. You just slam into the wall, and yeah, that's it. And then you get back up, and you find your inner tube, and then you go back up and, and do it again, and you just keep doing that. So, like 10 or 20 or 30 times. And so, yeah, that's what snow tubing is. So it's all fun, like going up the treadmill, like, yeah, that's whatever. And then coming down, like, it's a rush. It's really fun, it's like, it's exhilarating. But the worst part, though, is hitting the wall. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go any slower, and you can't, like, no matter how you brace for impact, there's no good way to land there. So it's just because of the landing situation. Like, I think they could have thought of some kind of design. In the year 2022, I'm sure they have the ability to put, like, little braking mechanisms or some way to slow people down so that they don't hit the wall at they said they clocked us at 74 miles per hour. That's crazy. That's insane. 74 miles per hour to slam into a wall, like in an open tube thing. Like you can have some serious injuries from that. And they said sometimes people go so fast or they land in just the right way where people actually go over the wall and, like, off the mountain. And they that's why they said they have a net that's sort of like a trampoline so that they don't fall onto the road or anything. But, like, geez, that's terrifying. you know wow. And why? Like, for snow tubing? Like, is it worth it? But we got all bruised up from that. That was pretty brutal on us, but it was just so addictive. Like, those, like, 10 seconds of sliding down was, like, worth it, pretty much. But there was one time specifically toward the end I almost snapped my neck because of how I landed. I landed like my my um my feet went over my head, and I was like curled up, and I landed like kind of on my head first, and then my feet like went up. So it is kind of hard to describe, but I almost snapped my neck. Like if I would have landed slightly differently, that wouldn't have been good, you know. So you gotta watch out for stuff like that. I almost sprained my ankle too, and and my wrist. One time I landed super hard on my wrist, and that like almost did some damage. Luckily, we did this before. We did snow tubing on like the first day we were there, so this was before the rain. It was still pretty cold. The snow was still pretty soft, but I can only imagine if we went there when it was icy. I mean, that would just be deadly. Um, but yeah, so we got to go snow tubing. We got to go roller skating. That's indoors, so that has nothing to do with the seasons, I guess. But roller skating was also um, kind of weird for me. Like, I thought it would just be fun, kind of like skiing, but then as soon as I put on the roller skates, I was just like, whoa, whoa, you know? And so they make you wear the roller skates the entire time that you're there, even when you're not in the rink. So if you're in the arcade, if you're in the restaurant, if you're in the bathroom, so like I had to pee, and so I was still like relatively new to roller skates. Also, I had never been roller skating before, so I'd only been wearing these for like 10 minutes, and I had to go pee. So first of all, I had to get to the bathroom, and then once I was there, they have this like smooth tile floor, so it's, like it's like the rest of the building other than the rink itself is carpet. So that's perfect, it's pretty easy to control roller skates on that. But then as soon as you get onto the tile, it's just like, whoa, it's like a slip and slide, So I'm trying to like go up to the urinal, and there's like other people there, and obviously everybody's looking at me weird because I'm the only one there who's never roller skated before. And I'm trying to get to the urinal, and I'm like trying to balance myself and not fall and everything. I ended up actually taking out the paper towel dispenser because I was like trying to hold on to the wall, and the thing just came off. And then I try to like position myself at the sink. I'm trying to wash my hands, and then I like start to fall backwards, and it's just crazy. Um, but anyway, so yeah, my first few times around, I was very careful. I was very like paranoid about falling. I didn't want to fall. So actually, believe it or not, I never fell once. But I also went super slow. It wasn't until like toward the end that I started to gain a little bit of confidence, and I went a little faster, but still nothing to write home about, nothing like really impressive. It was still pretty slow overall. But you know, I'd be willing to go roller skating again, but it also burns a lot of calories. It's very cardio intense, and that's something I didn't really think about beforehand. Because I mean, even with skiing, like that burns a lot of calories too. But since it's a winter sport, it's so cold that you're not really gonna sweat too much. But because roller skating is indoors, even if it's winter, they're gonna have the heat on in there, so you're gonna sweat like you're in the gym basically. So it's like going for a run. And the roller skates are just really heavy, and it just feels super weird. But yeah, so we went roller skating. We also found this cool place called Kalahari. It's relatively new. It's in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. I'm not sure how many locations they have total, but it's an indoor water park and arcade. It's also a 5-star resort. The rooms are like $400 a night to start at. Um, and we went inside. It's just like, I mean, my dad doesn't like arcades. He thinks they're a scam and all that, but he actually really liked this place so much that we actually went back a second time. Um, so we went back after roller skating. So um, we went to the arcade, and they have like axe throwing and like mini bowling, which is weird, and mini golf, and they had the 7D adventure ride, and like all this stuff, like just in an arcade. We didn't get to the indoor water park, unfortunately, because we weren't able to get there before 8 p.m. when that closes daily. Um, but, we didn't go to the restaurants either because they're too expensive. Um, but we did get a little bit of free food. um, but yeah, so we basically just went there and hung out, and it was fun. It was also 15 degrees that night, so that was the coldest weather I ever experienced, and I enjoyed it. So I guess it goes to show that there's really no such thing as too cold for me, or if there is, then it's below 15 for sure, because I can handle 15, and it never gets down to 15 degrees in Florida. I'll guarantee that. So, but there it was just like normal. It wasn't a particularly cold night to them or anything. But yeah, it was cold, but it was like fun cold. So I guess it would have to be like below zero for it to be a potential issue for me. Anyway, what else do we do? I got to go to a casino. Um, so that was cool. Um, the Mohegan Sun Casino in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. It's open 24 hours. So apparently that's like a standard thing for casinos. I just think that's really cool. Um, and they give you free drinks as long as you're there, like as long as you're actively playing. So it's like if they see you make a bet at a machine and it's more than I think $1, then they'll just give you a free drink. Like they have servers that they come up to you at the machines and just like, hey, you want something to drink? And you're like, oh, sure, and then it's like custom. Like you tell them your order and the bartender makes it and then they find you and bring it to you. Like, so you don't even have to get up and do this. So you just get free drinks for playing the machines, like delivered to you. Um, so I think that was really cool. Unfortunately, we got there at like 1 in the morning and last call was 2 a.m. So we didn't really get that many drinks, but um, it's still a cool concept. And then of course, if you're in the casino itself and with the machines, they assume you're over 21 because that's supposed to be the minimum age. But obviously, my dad's a con man, um, so we made it happen. But since you're supposed to be over 21, they don't even card you. They're just like they assume you're over 21 because how else did you get past the bouncer? So they just automatically give everyone their drinks, and so they ask me like, oh, what do you want? And so I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take a Long Island iced tea. And like, oh, Long Island iced tea, all right, coming right up. So that was cool. Um, I think we won a little bit of money actually. I think we made like $18, but I got to play some casino machines. That was my first time like at a casino. I was at a casino as a kid, but because I was a kid, I had to stay like in the restaurant area. So I got to see like the casino, but I didn't get to experience it. So this is my first time experiencing a casino. Um, so that was fun. What else do we do? I don't know, but it was one of the better trips. It actually might have been the best trip yet, because we kind of refined our process, by this point to yeah, to really get it down. And Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Virginia, is also open all year long now. Not like the whole park. Like there's a couple rides that are still closed, but still, like that was cool. So we went there on the way back. Um, and then yeah, and then came back, and then I had to work, and it was a couple normal days, and then the next big thing is that I had to move the end of February because my 3-month lease was up and it was kind of mutually agreed. The landlord and I weren't really getting along, and so neither of us really wanted to renew the lease. So we just kind of agreed to go our separate ways, and I had to find somewhere else to live. So we got back February 20th, And the problem is, the next thing was the St. Lucie County Fair, which some of you who've been following me for a little while probably know. It's an annual tradition of mine every year to go there and get the mega pass and go open to close all 10 days. And even though I don't live in St. Lucie County anymore, I still wanted to do that this year. So, so yeah, I'll hold it like this, I guess. These are the lights in my room. This is what my room looks like. I don't think you've ever seen it. But yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to do it anyway, so I actually requested 10 days off from work so I could go down there and get the mega pass and stay at my mother's house and everything, and get the, go to the fair. So that started February 26th. So, and I got back on the 20th. So really, I only had 5 days: the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. No, the fair started on the 25th. I only had 4 days because I got back the night of the 20th. So 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. I had 4 days to look for a new place, find the new place, and move all of my stuff out because I had to have everything out by the end of the month. And since I was going to be down in Port St. Lucie from February 25th to March 6th, I couldn't leave my stuff there till March 6th or else he'd charge me the rent for March. So I had to have everything out of there and into a new place by the time I left for the fair. And I also worked every day of those 4 days. So I was limited to just a few hours in the evening after work, to set up these appointments and everything. So I went to see a few different places, and, they didn't work out for a variety of reasons. Either I didn't like them or they didn't like me, or, the situations just didn't work out or whatever. So I was left with only one other one, and it was this one. Um, and so this is a 10-bedroom house that I'm renting a room in. And, yeah. I'm not sure what else I want to say about it, but anyway, so I moved my stuff here actually like over one day, basically, by the time I had evaluated all my other options and made a decision to do this, came over, signed the contract, made the deposit, all that. It was the night of the 24th. It's like right before the fair, and I actually spent that. I worked until 6 p.m., and then I spent the whole evening and the whole night making trips back and forth, moving all my stuff out. And then still at 4 a.m., when I was done with all that, instead of going back to my place and going to sleep, I just drove right down to Port St. Lucie. So, um, the last time I went back to get the last of my stuff, I gave the landlord back his key, and, it was basically made official by that point. Like, I'm not coming back. You're never going to see me again. So, it was that. And then I just kind of like, just put everything, everything was in boxes and bags and all that. I just kind of threw it all in my room and then just left. I had my little overnight suitcase with what I was going to take with me down to Port St. Lucie, but that was it. So then I came down, and I was there for 10 days of the fair. And then, again, the last night, the fair was open till 11 p.m. So I stayed and went back to the house to get my stuff and all that. It was like midnight, 12:30. Then I had to go see my dad to get stuff from him, and he had a whole bunch of food for me because I was struggling financially, just so that I wouldn't have to buy groceries or anything. So, but the problem is it took a long time for him to get all of it together and load it up and everything. So it was actually 3 a.m. by the time I left there. So it was 5:30 in the morning when I got back to Orlando. And I drove right to this new place. So, now it's 5:30 in the morning, and I'm tired because I've been up since 10 a.m. And this is a new house I've never slept in before. Everything's still in boxes, nothing's unpacked yet. So I just like, I didn't even take the food out of my car, which really should have been refrigerated. I was just like, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. I just gotta sleep for at least a few hours. I'll probably get up at 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock, and I'll just deal with it all then. I'll start with the stuff in my car, I'll put it in the fridge, and then I'll just start moving in because I actually had that day off from work the next day. Um, so I was like, I'm just gonna. That was actually for the first time, pretty much in my life, actually, that I said, instead of like having a day off and saying, oh, I'm gonna do something extravagant. I'm gonna go to a park or go to a concert or a festival or this or that. I actually just said, you know what? I'm just gonna stay home and I'm gonna focus on unpacking and settling in and just getting everything organized and taken care of and make it a productive day. And I'm sure you see where this is going. That obviously didn't happen. I'm still moving in. As you can see, there's still some boxes and still some things in here. I mean, it's much better than it was. At least it's functional now. But anyway, so I woke up on, another important thing that happened. See, this is what I mean. There's so many stories going on simultaneously. During all this, there's this guy that I met. I take a sip of water. There's this guy that I met way back in the day, actually, when I was still working at the. Well, actually, I'm not sure if I said where I used to work, but back when I was working in the fast food, um, there was this customer that came in and was very pleased with my enthusiasm and customer service skills, and basically, just said, you're wasting your potential here. You can be doing so much more. I have so many opportunities for you and everything. And so he got my Instagram account and messaged me on there. And so I was very vague with the stuff he said. So I inquired further on it, like, hey, what do you mean? And, he just never really responded, and we sort of lost touch. And he actually reached out to me out of nowhere in December and asked, oh, hey, how are you? What are you up to? And so I told him, well, actually, I moved to Orlando now, and I'm working at Universal. And he said, oh, really? I live in Orlando. And I was like, wow, really? Of all the places in the country or this world that this guy could live in, because I didn't know where he was from. Like of anywhere that he could live, he lives in Orlando. So he's like, yeah. So then I actually took the next step to say, yeah, we should meet up sometime. And thinking like that would be too much and would push him away because he's a stranger. I've never seen him. I've never hung out with him before or anything. And so, but surprisingly, he said, oh yeah, for sure. Just let me know when. And so unfortunately that time actually I was leaving on my December excursion, my 2-week Pennsylvania trip for that. So I said, well, I'm going to be out of town for a little bit, but I'll let you know when I get back. And he's like, all right, sounds good. So I did let him know when I got back. But yeah, so over there he was busy and had some stuff going on. So then it was like basically playing tag, trying to figure out a time that worked for both of us. And so then he was just kind of quiet for a little bit. And so I forgot about him again. And then there was one time, like in January, that he finally suggested a place and a time to meet. And so I was like, all right, finally. So he wanted to meet at a coffee shop in downtown, Sunday at 1 o'clock. I was like, all right, this seems legit, I'll do that. And it was a day I happened to have off anyway, so I was like, all right. So, I got up, I took a shower, I got dressed. You probably know exactly where this is going already. But yeah, long story short, I got stood up. He wasn't there. So I was very upset about this. And I called him, texted him, no answer, no reply. So I was like, all right, that's it. This guy's just a joker, I don't know what he's getting out of this, but I'm not wasting any more of my time with this. So, um, he responded like 2 or 3 days later. It was like, oh, hey, I'm so sorry I wasn't there. Some things came up, and he kind of explained the situation. He was like, yeah, that's not something that I would usually do, you know, but, he's like apologizing profusely and giving his explanations and everything. And so, he just said, well, give me one more chance. I really want to meet with you. I have some very important things to discuss with you. And so this kind of piqued my interest. Like, oh, wow, really important things, huh? So like, all right, fine. And so then we went back to trying to schedule another time. And it just, everything that worked for me didn't work for him. Everything that worked for him didn't work for me. So eventually, February 25th, the first day of the fair, he says, all right, what's your schedule this week? And I'm like, well, I'm actually out of town for the next 10 days. But I'll be back March 7th is my first day. And I knew I had that day off because I know my schedule a little bit in advance. So I said, March 7th is my next day off. And he said, all right, well, March 7th, let's do that then. And he suggested the same coffee shop in downtown at the same time, 1 p.m. So, and he's like, but I'll be there, I promise. Like, all right, this is, they'll give you one more chance. So that was the plan we made. So I knew in my mind I was gonna have to meet this guy at 1 o'clock, just for like an hour or two to talk about whatever he wanted to talk about. Um, and then that was it. And then I'd go home and spend the rest of the day on productivity. So what actually happened? I need another sip of water. All this talking is making me dehydrated. Anyway, what actually happened is I got up at noon or so, um, and I had a sore throat. And I was like, oh no, I know what that means. It means you have a cold. So I tried to see if it was just like a dry throat. I tried like drinking water and like, doing stuff that usually helps with it, but it just wasn't going away. So I was like, all right, well, here it is. I'm sick. For the first time. I don't get colds very often actually. A lot of people that I know and people in my family even get sick like every 2 or 3 months, but for me it's like once a year maybe. It's not very common. So yeah, so that made it a lot less fun to go to. I still went to the brunch, and you know he didn't suspect anything. I never told him, but it hurt to talk and everything, but I still mustered through it. I did all right, and it actually went very well. He ended up uh, offering me a position in a company that he works with, um, in sales. I don't want to be too specific, but working in sales basically on commission. So I'm very excited about this. So I agreed to get started, pursuing down that path. And yeah, so I did that, but unfortunately, since I was sick, I wasn't really able to get much done, so I just kind of stayed in bed the rest of the day. And luckily, it was like a 1 day thing, because the next day when it was time to go to work, I was all right. So, but that ruined my only productivity day. So then it was a chaotic mess the next day trying to get to work, like with everything still packed and not knowing where everything was, and all that. Um, but I finally, was able to do it. I just have to get up super early, basically. I have to get up 2 hours before whatever I'm scheduled now. But it was always like an hour and a half. But anyway, yeah, it's been 55 minutes now of just constant talking for me, and my vocal cords in my throat are like, have had enough, basically, at this point. So I'm gonna have to cut it off here, but I will make part two, I promise. Whenever it is, um, I'll start from here. I'll put a little bookmark. March 8th is where I'm up to in my recap. So there's still a lot more to discuss. It's not over yet. But as you can see, just from then to then, there was a lot that happened. But yeah. So stay tuned for the next one. And yeah, thanks for listening. Good night.